Data to send. It's happening again. It's happening again. Will the internet give us another day to exist? It looks like yeah. It looks like yeah. But you know me, I have to see. If I don't see it, it's not real. I have to see it. Doubting Thomas of the internet, self-proclaimed. It's here. I've seen it. Oh, let me put this in. I meant to do this ahead of time, but I didn't. Man, it's like someone's got a case of the Mondays here. Let's see here. Let me put that in the chat. Okay. All right. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon to all my East Coasters. Good morning to my fellow West Coasters. Good morning. I hope breakfast is good. I hope lunch is good if you're already there. It's an early lunch. You must be an early riser if you're having lunch already. It's only 11 on the West Coast. But I'm a lunch whenever guy. So really my first meal is usually something lunch oriented. I'm not a big breakfast guy. I'm not a big fan of the typical breakfast cuisine. So I guess it's very plausible that I've definitely had lunch at this time regularly. But it's my first meal of the day. So I don't know. I mean, what does that mean even? I don't know. But anyway, good morning. And if you're in a different time zone, good evening. How's the future? Are you in New Zealand, Australia? How's the future? Can you solve climate change for the rest of us? You're in the future. Hook it up, right? I'm Ron Placone. This is Get Your News On with Ron. Let me thank a couple quick people who make this show possible before I bring in my guest today. First of all, our friends over at ZT.com, ZHITEA.com. Their tea kind of rules. And you can get their tea wholesale now because of the pandemic. The Raspberry Pecan, the Monk's Blend, two of my personal favorites. And we might be getting a Ron tea soon. Fingers crossed. We might be getting a Ron tea. Also, our friends over at triageoil.com, TRIAGE oil.com. Trendy Nay educates the public on cannabis issues. And he makes topical pain oil that you put on your body. It has done wonders for my neck. I use it all the time. I appreciate the care packages, especially when you include the guitar picks. Got a quick Music Monday aside too here, real quick, folks. So this is interesting. Okay, so this was on Twitter earlier today. Check this out. Marilyn Manson trending. People are referencing the lyrics to the New Radicals 1998 hit "You Get What You Give" after the Rolling Stones reported that the rock group will be reuniting to perform the song during the Biden inauguration parade. The Rolling Stones, the band, reported that, according to Twitter. So now Rolling Stone is a magazine. The Rolling Stones are a band. Now, look, I know that people make grammar mistakes. I know that sometimes you just have a flub. Sometimes you are typing faster than your brain is moving, and you totally mean Rolling Stone magazine in your head, but you type out the Rolling Stones, a frickin' band. I get that. But these trends go through a couple chains of command, I'm assuming, and nobody caught this. No one looked at that sentence and thought, that's weird. The biggest rock band in the world, one of the biggest rock bands the planet has ever seen, is not only inexplicably doing music reporting right now, they're also reporting on a one-hit wonder band from the 90s. For some reason, that's happening. What's going on in comedy news? Is Joe Rogan writing an essay about Ron Placone? Is that what's going on? Are we doing that? Like, no one caught this. And by the way, they have since corrected it. Here, let me show you guys this. They have since corrected. I tweeted about this, and I'm sure some other folks did too. They have since corrected this mistake. And, again, I'm not trying to be nitpicky Magoo over here. I mean, I get it. Here's the correction. You could see it. They corrected the trend. But, yeah, and if you didn't know this, like if you straight up didn't catch this or didn't realize, like, how, my point in bringing this up is maybe, just maybe, these people are not qualified to tell you what is and isn't news. If they're like, yeah, the Rolling Stones, they don't know the difference between a band and a magazine. Maybe they shouldn't be telling you what is and isn't news. and I get it, mistakes happen, but just say, what if it wasn't? What if they honestly didn't know? Whoever did this trend honestly didn't know. I figured bands just report on each other. Isn't that what they do? All right. Anyway, let me bring in my guest for today. She is an activist and a journalist, and she's really active right now. She's based in the Los Angeles community. She's trying to stop a development from happening in her community. We're going to be talking more about that later in the show. And also, we're going to be talking with her a lot about what she experienced in D.C. because she was at the Capitol building. She was there when all this stuff went down. So please welcome to the show, Melissa Michelson. Melissa, how are you?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon or evening, wherever you are.
Wherever people are. We cover everybody. So first of all, good to see you. Thanks for doing the show today. And I really look forward to hearing your firsthand account on DC because I haven't had anyone on yet that was like straight up there on this show. So I really look forward to, I read your column on it, but I look forward to like just hearing you talk about it. So we're going to do that later, but first you got to get your news on with me. And I got a little bit of news of the day before we get into what you're up to. And we're going to start here. So this is right now mostly conjecture, but hopefully this might be some good news. So Joe Biden indicates plans to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline permit on his first day in office. Apparently there's a list of executive orders he's going to do, and this is on them. He's going to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline. The CBC up in Canada reported this. It has since gone viral on social media. People are talking about it. Here's what the article says. The words "rescind Keystone XL pipeline" appear on a list of executive acts supposedly scheduled for day one of Biden's presidency. Now, they show a nice little map here. Let me scroll down to it. So here's what's going on. This red thing is the proposed pipeline. The blue thing is what already exists as far as the Keystone XL is concerned. Now, to my knowledge, this red pipeline goes across a lot of aquifers and stuff that is very pertinent to the nation's water supply. And Biden is supposedly going to put a halt to all this. It's not like there's been no damage already done. Of course, there has been, but this would be a good thing. However, I said this on the show, I think last show, because it came up. One of the first lessons my mom taught me was that actions speak louder than words. So, Melissa, what do you think? Do you think he's going to do this? I know it's just a prediction right now, but what do you think?
Well, typically he could back out at the last minute and say, oh, but, there's just, but we can't do this, so we can't do all of it. Is the plan to do the whole thing or part of it? That's what.
So you think he might pull 1400 equals 2000 gimmick? Is that what you're suggesting?
Considering it, he just did. Yeah. Someone somewhere, some lobby firm, the Keystone, whoever, the oil company, whatever, they're all gonna someone's gonna pull the strings on it and he's gonna backtrack on it. That's what I think.
So you're predicting a straight up, he's not gonna do this.
He's gonna do a half-assed measure. Half-assed. He can't put it out there, say he's going to do it, and then not do it at all. I think he'll do some of it, but
he's got to throw a bone to some extent.
Yeah, because he already put it out there.
Do you think? So I guess when you say half measure, because I agree with you. I think he will do it, but then there might be a surprise further down the line when this is out of the ether, so to speak.
Oh.
Like when you're not thinking about it, then all of a sudden it's going to be included in something.
Oh, wow.
That would be my prediction. I don't know. Well, what do you, when you say half measure, what do you mean exactly?
Maybe not the full thing. Like you showed the whole map. Maybe it will be part way, and then they'll make a diversion to something else. Or maybe it'll be a time thing. Like, did he specify how long he's going to put a stop on that?
I don't think so. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't here, let me see. I don't think he said. I think it was just he's gonna just rescind like the right now they're battling for the permit to continue
Yeah.
with it. And he's saying like, yeah, no permit.
Right.
And then they're also saying that there's another raft of environmental policies that are supposed to be enacted on the first day as well, rejoining the Paris Climate Accord,
Okay.
which,
That's
again,
that'll happen. That's not that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. He's a Democrat. What else?
yeah, I mean, that's going to happen. And it's one of those things where it's like you look at these gestures and you kind of find yourself going, okay, that's not a bad thing, but that's not anywhere close to the action we need. Like, oh, we're joining. That's not bad that we're rejoining that. That's a good thing. But that's not a Green New Deal. That's not actual climate action. That's not anywhere close to a solution. It's just basically getting us back to where we were.
Right. Right. And that does, and then of course, since we were, unfortunately, we're going to have to kind of hopefully recuperate where we were and then some. We're obviously not going back to sleep. Didn't he say something about $15 an hour?
He did. Yeah, he said $15 an hour, which I think he's been saying that for a little while. Again, I'll believe it when I see it. The fight for 15.
He's just not going to go on that,
No, he's not. And the fight for 15 itself is just mostly more a symbolic fight now for living wages because $15 an hour is not enough.
Right. I saw you're saying 20. And
that's even that is a very conservative. I mean, I think 20 is not enough. I mean, I said like at least that, like the bare minimum should be that. I mean, if you tie it to productivity and inflation, I think it should be more like 22 or 23. And that's the minimum, by the way. Like that's the minimum. So in places like California and New York, it should probably even be higher. But yeah, I mean, 15. That's just not even a living wage.
A full-on reduction of gig working / part-time jobs / I don't know. People should have full-time jobs with benefits and all that stuff. Now, if they're going to have Medicare for all plus a $22 minimum wage, that's fine. But I want the whole shebang personally. I mean, in Argentina, as an example, and other countries too, the service industry, the waiters and servers and stuff, they all have full-time jobs. Right. I haven't dug into who pays their benefits, but yeah, they have steady jobs and that's their profession in a way. But we should have non-steady jobs as well for people that need the flexibility. But anyway, don't want to get off topic.
Well, in a lot of other countries, it's just bizarre to a lot of people why we have multiple jobs and that's normal. Like they're like, you guys have more than. Now it's different if you are somebody who, like you said, like maybe you're a creative person and you're a musician or a comedian or whatever, and you just kind of want to supplement your income while you're trying to pursue this endeavor that you eventually want to be able to make a living at. That's different. That happens in other countries. That happens here. That's a completely different thing. But if you are just wanting to have a job to just live your life, it's very weird to a lot of other places how Americans have more than one job, and that's very normal. Like they're like, why would you need that? But it's like, well, we do because we don't get paid living wages, and among a lot of other issues as well. So, yeah, I don't know, but getting it back to the pipeline, my guess, and this is just my honest prediction, and I'm not trying to be like negative Magoo over here, but I think he is going to do it. He's just going to say like he's going to take the permit away. But if the lobbying is hard enough, it'll rear its ugly head again. It'll rear its head again, especially if we have, chances are in the midterms, it's going to be a bloodbath for the Democrats. Republicans are going to just, I think there's a good chance they'll retake the House and the Senate. I don't know for sure. 2022 is still a long way off. A lot can happen between now and then. But, typically something like that is likely to happen. And I think if it does, you know, you kind of see the Keystone XL rear its ugly head again. And Biden will be like, well, I can't really. I mean, there's just nothing I can do. And I said I wouldn't ban fracking. And that'll kind of be what goes down. But we'll see. It's but as of right now, hopefully he goes through on this. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's certainly a good thing that he's rescinding the Keystone XL permit. All right. I want to go here with you before we talk about you. So this story broke a little while ago, and shout out to our friends and colleagues over at Status Coup for breaking this story. This is also an environmental story here, and it has to do with Flint. Now, Jordan Cheriton and Jen Dyes and John, everyone over at Status Coup, they've been covering Flint very extensively. They've been going out there, and they got something in The Intercept because Michigan's the former Michigan governor is going to face some consequences here. Rick Snyder is hopefully going to be facing some consequences. And here's the headline here: how a flurry of suspicious phone calls set investigators on Rick Snyder's trail. So Rick Snyder knew about the Legionnaire's disease outbreak in Flint as early as October 2014. He was saying he didn't know about it. And then we all know what happened. They privatized Flint's water. It poisoned residents. They still don't have clean water in Flint. You wouldn't know that if you watch cable news because they don't report on it. But Flint still doesn't have clean water. Flint's not the only community that doesn't have clean water, by the way, because of an investigation done by Status Coup and other independent journalists. It looks like Rick Snyder and other people involved are hopefully going to be held accountable here. So this dropped last week. And, again, kudos to them for their tireless work on their story. Now, here's a fun little piece here. Getting back to social media and how Rolling Stone is a magazine and Rolling Stones are a band. This happened recently. So here's Jen's Twitter. They wanted to promote this because obviously the corporate media is still ignoring all this. So it's still up to them to get the word out. And, Jordan got to go on Michael Moore's podcast recently. So it is getting some coverage, but it's still largely being ignored by the corporate media. Jen tweeted this: just received the most baffling response from Twitter support Twitter ads in the world. My eyes literally wide, my jaw to the floor. More to come on this soon. All right, she's really leaving us hanging there. But here's what happened. They wanted to promote these tweets, right? They broke these stories. They wanted to promote tweets with this article. And here's what happened to them when they tried to promote the tweet. Here, I'll show you the photo here. Twitter wouldn't let them do it. They got a message. They tried to promote this tweet, promote this story. And it said, this account is ineligible to run Twitter ads due to a policy violation by one or more users. Any active campaigns have been paused. So they're trying to spread a story about clean water. And Twitter is saying this is a problem somehow. And they wouldn't let them promote these tweets.
And the tweets came from where?
Jen's account. Jen tried to promote her own tweets. Like she tried to, because you can like bump your tweets. Or I've never done it actually, but you can like promote a tweet. And then you basically pay to have it shown and stuff like that. She tried to do that. She tried to bump the tweet, so more people find out about this stuff. And it wouldn't let her. It said she had
some. Social media, when they block you, they don't really give you details about why. They're just like, nope, you're blocked.
Yeah, well, it's all. I mean, we all have to bow to the Bible of terms and services, which is vague and somehow we're supposed to just accept that those terms of services are more important than our free speech laws. Which I get that these companies, they are private companies. I understand that. No one's disputing that isn't the law. It is the law. But you know what? Sometimes technology passes up the law. And when social media becomes as dominant in our political conversations as it's become, they should follow the free speech laws of the United States. And when you're spreading a story about clean water and you're doing investigative journalism, you should be able to promote that tweet, which, by the way, they're paying to do. It's not like they're asking charity of Twitter. They're paying for that. And Twitter's still saying, no, they violated something. And they're still, and to my knowledge, they're still waiting on an explanation for this. I'd like to have Jordan or Jen on the show later on as this thing evolves to get the full, to get the conclusion, which we don't know yet. We don't know the conclusion, but I'm really curious what Twitter will have to say to respond to this.
Ron, I was just my mind was kind of going in a little different direction and thinking, because I know you were doing work on making the internet a public utility, right?
Still trying.
What's that?
Still trying.
Yeah. And I wonder if, I'm sure there's there's all kinds of reasons why the powers that be don't want that to happen. But I wonder if partly one aspect of that could be because then as a public governmental entity, they might be more bound to protecting the our constitutional right to freedom of speech. And I don't know. That was just kind of a vague thought. I don't know.
No, it's and those connections are definitely there. Municipal broadband and kind of having your internet as a public utility, that kind of more goes up against the internet service providers than it does against like a platform like Twitter or like any other content hub. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there are some connections there based on what you just said. But we're living in an era where we don't have the types of laws that are ready to tackle this stuff yet. They just straight up don't exist. And, the policies we do have, we need to have additional policies on top of it. We shouldn't repeal the stuff that we already have that is, for the most part, a very good thing because people want to, interpret it a certain way and not actually see what the policy does. So, yeah, it's a weird era we're living in. It's a very weird era, but stuff like this is going to continue until you actually confront this stuff head on and greet it with the nuance it deserves instead of just trying to, pick apart something that already exists and cherry picking what you're going after and not going after. And it's astonishing seeing elected officials just have no clue what the hell they're talking about most of the time on both sides. On both sides, it's Democrats and Republicans that do it. Where it's they talk on Section 230 or they talk on, online censorship, and they just have no clue what they're calling for. They have no clue what these policies actually do. Yet they get to vote on these laws.
And my inclination, rather than waiting for some politician or, who's bought off by whatever private company or, industry, is to use the power of our own, consumer powers and, try to implement boycotts and things. And when I see this stuff on Twitter or Facebook, it makes me so mad. And, I want to say, fuck them all. Can I say fuck on your show?
Oh, yeah, of course. You can say whatever you want.
I want to say, fuck them all. We don't fucking need them. And there are different platforms. I'm not an expert on all the social media things. I hear signals coming around as the new WhatsApp and whatnot. But it just makes me want to just drop everything and go to a different social media platform, one that's, right now at least still, freedom of speech friendly. But then, that opens up a whole new can of worms. They're just going to take over those. And I don't know. Anyway, and it's hard to wean ourselves off of Twitter. Are you, how are you going to get all your people over to another platform and all that? But I don't know. We're stuck. I think people are stuck between a rock and a hard place. But, if push comes to shove, we could probably mobilize, some kind of pushback and say, look, you keep doing this, we're all going to leave. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things like there's always going to be a dominant social media platform. Like it's always going to exist. And there's always going to be, a platform where it's it's not your favorite, but you're on it because it's necessary to disperse information. I think those types of things are always going to be there. They're going to evolve and they're going to change. No one's talking about AIM or MySpace anymore, but I think it's always kind of going to be there. I kind of subscribe to like what Nicholas Carr wrote about in that book, The Shallows, where it's like the technology is always going to be there. So if you're just kind of trying to butt heads with the technology, that's just a battle you're not going to win. But the best thing to do is to try to figure out how to use the technology effectively and try to make it as democratic, for lack of a better word coming to my head, as absolute possible. And we're not really making much of an effort right now. So I firmly believe, when I say we, I mean the collective we. I don't mean me and you, but I mean, like, the people making the laws, the powerful. We're not really doing much of an effort right now, other than just saying, hey, Mark Zuckerberg, figure this out. You're qualified to tell us what is and isn't news, right? No, he's not. He's not. Neither are his Silicon Valley friends. As we pointed out earlier, some of them don't know the difference between Rolling Stone, the magazine, and Rolling Stones, the frickin' band. So, yeah, I mean, I think
one way would be to hold officials accountable and elect, but it takes a long time, elect people that will put this as, front and center, and then hold them accountable later to actually holding these companies accountable. That'll take many years, and I don't know who's going to be holding Facebook accountable and whatnot to this kind of stuff. But another way would be, maybe this is a good segue to what's Parler? Didn't they get taken down? I'm not.
I don't know. I'm not familiar either. I'm not on it. Right. I don't know much of anything about it, and I honestly haven't really followed that story. I know apparently they were banned from something as well, but I don't know.
Monopoly, Twitter, Facebook monsters kind of. I'm not. You're right. I'm not sure what happened with them too. But when there are these other avenues opening up, they're going to be taken down too. So
yeah.
That's why I bring up that example.
Well, you know what makes me so frustrated about this whole thing? Like you bring up like just politicians and elected officials who essentially do have to vote on these laws. And, like I said earlier, like a lot of them, I think for a lot of them, it's not even that they're not even being deceptive in this case. It's like they just honestly have no clue what the hell they're talking about. Like when you listen to Ted Cruz talk about Section 230, like it's just obvious he hasn't read it. It's obvious he has no clue what it actually does. Like he's just freaking clueless, and he's being quoted like in corporate media. And I think the biggest problem the thing that I find most annoying is all you have to do. You don't have to be a tech genius. You don't have to be a constitutional lawyer. You don't have to be any of those things. All you have to do is just ask the right questions of the right people and just freaking listen. And, this is the example I love to bring up. Who had the best digital rights overall platform out of any of the 2020 candidates? Bernie Sanders, the 80-year-old. Do you think Bernie Sanders spends a lot of time on Reddit? And that's where he got all that stuff. He's like, I know I should ban facial recognition because of this subreddit I'm on all the time. I doubt he does any of that. But what he did in this case, he listened to the right frickin' people. And he formed a well-rounded policy perspective on these issues, on net neutrality, on municipal broadband. Bernie was the only one who had a high-speed internet for all bill. On facial recognition, Bernie was the only one that supported the ban, the only one. It's not because he's like Joe Hip when it comes to tech, I'm pretty sure. It's because he listens to the right people. He asks the right questions.
I like that when I was going door to door and I said, hey, what about net neutrality? Or, they loved it. And I'm like, well, Bernie's doing that.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not that hard. You just have to take a second and listen to the right people. And you know who the right people aren't? Cable companies. Those aren't the right people. So, all right. I want to talk about, do you want to, we can go either way first. I'll let you pick. Dealer's choice. Do you want to talk about DC first, or do you want to talk about the project in Alhambra first? Either one's fine with me.
DC. Let's do DC.
DC first?
Yeah,
all
sure.
right. So you were there.
Yeah.
You were there during, are people officially calling it the insurrection? Is that like the name, or like what's the?
Yeah, they're calling it the insurrection.
All right. So we'll call it that. You were there.
Well,
Now, you were there to cover the event, to do some reporting, right?
yeah. Well, yeah, I was there. I poked around. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what happened?
Well, I went in disguise. I mean, I should send you a photo, but I had my
Were
little.
you wearing horns? And was that you? Was that
I've
were
heard
you painted and you had?
No, actually, I had a little free Assange button on my black beret. I was all muffled up and, masked, double masked, because I knew what I was getting into. And I just walked around, and I didn't talk to anybody. I just was I wanted to be a fly on the wall. And so I arrived at the north side of the Capitol building. And I was looking around and I'm like, it's weird, because I'm not used to that demographic and basically Trump people all around me. That was the first time that I had so many Trump people around me. Like where I live, there's not that many Trump people, but it's not Trump land. So just seeing people wearing Trump flags on their shoulders and holding Trump flags up, and just being in general, enthusiastic for their candidate, whoever that is. But so I was interested in that, like, wow, okay, this is kind of what we do on our side of things. And there were some people signing the Constitution or something. I didn't get in there too close because no one was wearing masks. So I just kind of breezed by, took some pictures. This Constitution, I think they wrote up their own stuff in it, and they were gathering signatures. And I wondered, what are they going to do with this thing? It's in one of my photos.
Do you know what it said?
I'd have to zoom in and read it, but it started.
Are you curious to read that?
No, I'm just like,
read it?
No, I couldn't. I was like, it's probably some stupid shit.
You're not curious what's in it. I'm curious what's in it.
Okay, interesting.
You're not at least curious what's in that thing?
No,
I mean, it's probably going to be pretty weird. But
is there a way for me to share a screen or
I don't know. I don't know what it looks like on your end. I'm like I'm the giver of the information, not the I don't know what it looks like on your end.
Let me see. I know what I can do. Just pull it up on my phone. It's right here. This. Okay, here we go.
So this is like their constitution.
Of Authority 2021. When in the course of human events, the free citizens of an independent republic witness their rights and opportunity. Okay, so that sounds familiar. And then I'll go up to, we hold these truths to be self-evident and unalterable, that all men are created equal before the declared law of God. Is that something? That doesn't sound good. That all living humans, born or unborn, are given by their creator certain rights, creator capitalized, certain rights capitalized, secure from any government or corrupted legislature. That among these are life, liberty, and pursuit. So, and then
so it's pretty much just the run of the mill. Yeah, like they're just kind of quoting. Okay.
Our supreme authority, we hereby declare that any attempt whatsoever to subvert or overturn, bend, or repurpose our law to the benefit of a few is a violation of the rights of every legal citizen.
So they're not. I thought this was like an original document. I thought this was like they're writing their own thing. All right, I see. All right, I got it. I thought it was like they're writing their own.
No,
yeah.
And here's
all right.
One. I can't get it up there. So these signatures. So yeah, so that's what I saw. So it's kind of like just a regular old rally of people. And then it was separated from the steps of the Capitol. This is in the back of the Capitol, across from the Supreme Court and I forget what, the Library of Congress building. So, and people were listening to the proceedings going on inside. Some people were listening to Trump's speeches, just like we listen to Bernie speeches sometimes, or what at the protests, not protests, but the rallies I've been to and whatnot.
And they were being piped in, you mean?
On Wi-Fi speakers, yeah.
Okay.
So there was that. And then there are even people listening to some on Wi-Fi some Christian church service or something like that. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. This is a new world for me.
Church service going on.
Yeah, two people were sitting on their little lawn chairs, looking at the Capitol. Again, one of my pictures. Show you a picture. Listening to church service.
Okay.
I think the pictures show. This is very there. Do you see?
Yeah. Okay, so they're doing some Zoom church.
Yeah, chilling, bringing their church to the Capitol. Fine. And then I went to make a phone call. It took about 45 minutes. I was across the street. And there was when I looked around, there wasn't any police presence. Not at all. But I went to make a phone call, came back, and all of a sudden I saw, I'm good at the pictures help. All of a sudden I saw that the people that were behind the barricade were now at the Capitol, like on the actual steps. And I was like, whoa, how'd they get up there? That's weird. Okay, I guess, that's going to make a good photo shoot.
Melissa, you're sounding really suspicious right now. You went to make a phone call, and all of a sudden things started getting weird when you left to make a phone call.
I have connections, but not those kinds of connections. So people were taking pictures. Oh, and they were chanting, "Stop this steal, stop this steal." And I was really impressed by how loud they were and how echoey it was. And I'm like, I like their energy. I like, as an activist, that puts protests together. I wish my people were this angry and aggressive, not aggressive, but just like passionate, right? So I was like, that's great. This so far, I would say this is a good example of a protest from the back and people getting up closer and closer, and that's good. And what do they want to do? They want to disrupt the proceedings, and I feel like that's kind of maybe, connecting to what I'm going through with my own little city hall here. Being disruptive has a use, so that I was impressed by this group of people. There was no organizer. There was nobody organizing anything. There was nobody, just random people trying to get people to come up with them and join them and kind of get close and that. And so then I went around the side, which was the south side of the Capitol building. And that's where I saw people kind of running from the front. I heard some booms and then people running toward me and running around the side, going to the back.
Well, when you say booms, like what do you like explosion type sounds or like what?
Yeah, I think
you know what it was?
Tear gas or I don't know. It was like 3, boom, boom, boom. And it was hard to know where it was coming from because of the echoing and stuff. But right at that moment, people started running towards me and I started instinctively running towards them because I wanted to go see where they were running from. And as I was getting closer, my eyes started watering or burning. And I was like, oh shit, there's some tear gas going on or something. So I stepped back and started going around. And people were yelling. At that point, people were yelling at the police that they are, what that guy's call them? Basically getting angry at the police for attacking the people. And I was thinking like, yeah, welcome to my fucking world, like where have you guys been?
Well, did you see how people were sharing the photos of when Black Lives Matter protests were near the Capitol building and they showed like how militarized the Capitol building was? Yeah. Meanwhile, it's like this protest happens and there's basically like barely any police around.
Yeah. And Ron, here, I'm going to show you this picture. A couple days before, I was at a, what's it called? Force the Vote protest. Right there, literally at the Capitol. And the police, and we were small, certainly not that big group of people. And you can't see it so much in this picture because I just got this one guy, but that's the extent of our group. And the police were following us, a bunch of, lefties wanting the rest of the country to have Medicare for all, God forbid, and they followed us, to get us off.
So would you say, is it fair to say from your perspective, the Force the Vote protest was more militarized with a
Oh,
police presence than
oh yeah,
really.
totally.
Wow.
There was one scene that you could probably see it better. I could see it on the Combo Couches stream. I wanted to clip it up and put a meme together, but that would take me years. So hopefully someone does that. But I mean, there's one shot where they were walking and the police were following us and pushing us off the property of the Capitol because we didn't have a permit. Did all these people have permits? I'm sorry. Did the insurrectionists have permits?
It is such a brutal double standard. Like it's just so unreal, the double standard that exists. And it's because, I mean, let's be honest, there's a huge history of white supremacy in law enforcement.
Right. So, I mean, that's where I was like, well, they did this to themselves. I'm sorry. Where was the police presence? There was police watching. They were off to the side. So when I saw stuff like this, let's see, you know, nobody was, you know, the area was closed. People were just, they don't give a shit. They're just stomping over
So people just climbed that fence and they just went, they said the area was closed, but people just kind of climbed over it. Okay.
Stomped over it. And then the police cars around, you know, but far away. They were definitely not present. They were there in case. And then this one time, oh, here's my little video. This is where I got kind of, my eyes started burning, and then the police did come in.
So the police came at this point. They started doing tear gas. There's cops on bikes going to the scene now because people started breaching the building.
Exactly. So that's probably what was happening. And so then I went around the front to see, because I really wanted to see how many people were at this thing. Was it extending all the way down to the Washington Monument, or how many people are here? Because you got the sense people came from everywhere for this thing. They were gathering, and so from everywhere. So I went around to the side, and it felt like, well, I saw this young guy with a full-on gas mask, and he had a walkie-talkie. He was probably, I don't know, he was like early 20s, maybe younger. And then his MAGA hat, and just, you know, I'm like, okay, lots of characters. That's what I felt like. I saw a lot of people, and most of the people were just there to take pictures and show support. But now I was in the back, and I can show you my perspective of it. At one point, I mean, this is about how far I was. You can't really see it, but
yeah.
Pretty far. And that, I think, was with the zoom. I think I zoomed. And then there were these types of people, kind of all dressed up and military type stuff. And I mean, a lot of things I didn't understand, you know, like I didn't know who all the people were. So that was the extent of it. And at one point, someone pointed to the front. I heard him talking to somebody, and I saw how they had water cannons and they were spraying down half of the
police have water cannons at this
point?
point?
I don't know, but you see how one half of the Capitol steps are full. This is now the front, and then the other half didn't have people. So this was after they had sprayed the other half and pushed the people. I guess they made sure that the people were off onto the left side. So there was some action and it was hard to know what was going on, and people are, you know, standing on things. And
what was the rest of your day like? Like after you left, was it just what was everyone thinking? Like that, you know what I mean? Like what was?
Look, people in the trees, and the reason why I took this picture was like, where's the police telling them to get down? You know, like, I'm in my world, the police are everywhere at every protest. We can't do this, we can't do that. But yeah, sorry. So then at this point, I was like, you know what? I've seen enough. I'm kind of, this is it. This is all that's going on. But that's from where I was. And then a friend of mine started texting me photos that they got into the Capitol. I'm like, what? They got in? How is that? Well, that's understandable because there's no police presence anywhere. Sorry, Ron, what did you say?
No. I was just asking. So when you found out that friends of yours got into the Capitol, were you just like...
Wait, just to correct you, friends of mine did not get into the Capitol, but a friend was texting me that...
Oh, that people got into the Capitol.
Yeah.
Okay.
TV, regular TV. And I just could not believe that this group that this, like, honestly, it felt like, and I kept thinking, it felt like someone left the zoo cages open, like, and the zoo animals got out, and they didn't know what was going on or what was supposed to happen there. That's kind of how it felt. In general, in the general carnival like atmosphere slash rally slash protest, because people were dressed up. This is from my perspective because I've never seen that. Never been at one of these rallies. So, and then I got this emergency alert that all of a sudden they're closing their curfew in downtown and all over DC starting at 6.
That was where were you at that point?
I was deciding to head out and leave.
Okay.
Because I had A, seen enough, B, I was so far away, nothing really was happening where I was. And when my friend showed me the pictures live, I just could not believe that this motley crew of people somehow got in. And the pictures that I saw, my interpretation was they don't even know what they're doing in there. What are they doing? They're ruffling through papers, and they're like, at a museum, like, it just felt like they didn't know. And then, of course, after the fact, I saw more of the videos, and I was like, oh, okay, well, there was some action going on in there. But I feel like there was no police presence, at least as far back as I was. And B, they kind of brought it onto themselves the next day. Like this guy, I walked around farther away from the Capitol building.
Mm-hmm. There's Uncle Sam. We got an Uncle Sam costume.
Stilts, yeah. So, but the crowd didn't go that far back. And I was like, okay. So I started leaving. It was around around 3 o'clock. I was like, all right.
Okay, this is where we're at. This is where the experiment known as the United States has taken us. Okay, I'm going to just digest that.
Other people were leaving too. Like there was an exodus of people leaving, I think because they all got that curfew notice on their phones. And then I went, that was it. That was the home. And then the next day I went back because
I'm just going to reflect on all this, have a sandwich. I'm just going to give you a glass of red wine.
I had a pizza. I went over and grabbed some pizza. There was some action at the police station. I wondered if there was a crowd gathering it was some police station, and I saw someone prepping a FBI crew saying, okay, so you know where to go. I just wanted to kind of be done and get my pizza.
I feel you. Yeah.
And in the pizza place, some woman, they were obviously, everybody was Trump people. No one wanted to wear masks, but they did, and to get their pizza. And they asked, "Are you going to close the pizza shop?" And the guy was like, "No, we need the money." So he's going to stay open, even though the curfew was at 6. But the next day I went back because I was really curious. And by that point, there were all the crowd was gone, and it was police city all over the place. Yeah. And the National Guard was setting, they set up, you can't see it. You set up the barricades. Now this is what
I can see the barricades a little bit there.
Yeah, and the National Guard standing there guarding it behind. This is exactly where I was the day before. And this just reminds me of 2016 Philadelphia. I was a Bernie Sanders delegate. I was inside going to the DNC inside. I came up, I took the metro one morning and showed up at the DNC, and behind the barricades were protesters and people, that's what we're used to. Now, how come they have this back, the day before? So
you were in, because I think this is how you and I initially met, which I think we met in 2016 or 2017, but it was around that time. But you were there when the nurses were protesting at the California Democratic Convention, and they told everybody to shut the fuck up. Literally, those are the words they used: "Shut the fuck up."
I don't remember where that was. At one of the conventions. Is that what you?
It was at one of I don't remember if that was in Sacramento, but it was at one of the conventions. And I know they said shut the fuck up. I've watched the video with you. I've watched the video with other people. But yeah, wow. Well, there you go. The double standards of protest policing. So let's go to Southern California now.
Okay.
You are in the Alhambra area. Is this issue you're working on?
Right.
And so what's going on? What are the villages? We're gonna watch your video in just a second, but
yeah,
there's a development that they're trying to do in the Alhambra area, and it's referred to as the villages. So what's going on there?
Well, first of all, the villages is a complete misnomer. Developers tend to do that. Like 3 years ago, I was fighting another development in the area, and they basically chopped down over 200 mature, shade-bearing, historic trees, 80 to 100 years old trees. This is 2 years ago. And they chopped them all down, raised them in 12 acres of land. And then now they're calling it Woodhaven. It's not a Woodhaven anymore. And they're putting little palm trees up and bushes. So, so the villages is the same concept of just a misnomer. It's it was 1,061 units, half luxury condos and half luxury apartments.
Of course.
Yeah, all luxury in a complex that is 5 stories, 5-story buildings. And if you see pictures it just looks like a fortress, it's awful. It would be awful. So anyway, it's a gated, non-gated community, so to speak, and right in the middle of an industrial zoned area. There's nowhere to walk to. The developers are saying they're bringing in walkable community to the area, which is bullshit. There's what's nearby that people could walk to would be Home Depot or.
Here, let's watch your video.
Okay, cool.
So basically the gist of it is they're trying to do luxury apartments in this industrial area, and that's going to cause housing to go up. It's going to cause traffic. It's
housing problem. I mean, it's not going to provide housing to people that can actually need housing.
Right. Yeah, because it'd be a whole different. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it would be a whole different story if this was an affordable housing project or something like that. It's not.
It would be if it were affordable housing, less density, on a transit hub where people can jump on the metro, something like that. Sure, lots of and not on a toxic site.
So, all right. Well, let's
or anything.
Let's watch the video.
Okay.
Or part of the video.
Welcome to the Villages, a new and exciting mixed-use development that is taking Alhambra by storm. You drive by Alhambra's quaint historic architecture and think, what this town needs is more luxury condos. Yeah, we think so too. That's why we're installing what will be the largest development in Alhambra history, right in the heart of Alhambra's warehouse and industrial district of Fremont and Mission. Look at the view of the train tracks. Nothing says scenic like cute. Walkability is our top priority. Who doesn't want to walk to this bus stop or this corporate strip mall? And everyone loves walking to Costco. We say
you can't walk to Costco. That defeats the purpose of going to Costco.
Right.
That's like you go. Yeah. Anyway, everyone.
Away. That's walkable.
What's walkable?
Costco. It's 4 blocks up.
Oh yeah. I mean that's kind of funny. So like what is the time frame on this? And what is their justification? So their justification is like, oh, this is going to be a new walkable thing. This is going to bring in commerce, and it's not going to do that. It's going to bring in a lot of traffic. It's going to drive housing costs up.
They're saying we're bringing much needed housing to the community, and that's the place where they tore down the 200 plus trees. Those new condos are going for close to $800,000 for a 2-bedroom condo. You can buy a house in the area for about that price. Plus, don't forget, you got to pay your HOA fees, which is $300, $400 more a month. So who actually can afford that? Another problem is the owners of this development are, one of them is called the Ratkovich Company, and he's, a developer in Los Angeles, as well as Elite International Investment. And later in the video, it kind of shows, who kind of outlines that.
those are like names for comic book villains.
I know, the Rat.
Like, those are literal like comic book villain names.
Yeah, Elite International Investment is a foreign investment firm. I believe they're out of Asia, and they, they want to they're going to come and, buy property for clients. And so, I'm not sure how that's all going to work, but those are the two owners of this.
That happens though a lot. Like what will happen is like a foreign company or and really it's a worldwide investment company. I mean, they have like oligarchs in the United States too, helping them out, or that are part of the company that are getting a piece of the action or whatever. And what they do is then they'll not only just like build this stuff and buy up this land and it won't be able to be used for anything else, but those will be some of the tenants too. Like a lot of these properties, they're just going to gobble up for themselves, for clients, or just as some kind of investment. When they finally find someone who can pay the price, they'll maybe rent to them, or they'll just kind of have it as their playground. Right. Meanwhile, the housing crisis in the community continues.
Yep. And an apartment rents, like a new construction apartment in the same city of Alhambra, rents for $2,200 a month for a studio apartment, a new luxury apartment. So that's the kind of clientele that they are catering to here, and that's not bringing much needed housing to the community. So plus they're saying it's going to be walkable. Well, next door there are there's a complex of offices and school administration. Like I think USC has a couple of offices there, but the point that we're making from the opposition side, Emory Park Community Group is on the web, is our website. The point we're making is that the people that work in that complex right next door are not going to be able to afford to live there either.
Right.
Because who can really? So that's going to solve the traffic issue. There's just one single bus line on Fremont, and anybody who drives in the San Gabriel Valley knows that Fremont is full of traffic, especially during rush hour. So why are they building? I mean, that's just a bad place to build that. Like if there was a metro stop nearby, fine, that would make more sense. If there were more affordable housing on there, great. They're only proposing, by the way, there was about over a year of opposition, and it went to the Planning Commission, which is the first step. And then that took we were able to postpone any kind of decision and vote in the Planning Commission for about 6 months because so many people wrote in letters to the City Council. Not City Council, Planning Commission. They read the letters out loud. There were so many opposition letters that they had to get a robo-reader to read the letters out loud. Instead of the staff people that were reading it out loud, because there were so many. So they had a robo-reader reading our letters, which was pretty funny because sometimes the public wrote kind of angry letters saying, this is the most ridiculous, idea. What are you guys thinking? And there would be a robo-reader. What are you guys thinking? It was fun to listen to. I think. So
where is it at now?
Okay.
Where is it at now?
Yeah, so after so many months of opposition in the Planning Commission decided to reject the village's proposal. The original proposal was 1,061 units. They even dropped it down. The developers said, okay, fine, let's drop it down to 849, but that's our final offer type of thing. And the Planning Commission still rejected it. So they wrote a resolution in November saying, we don't recommend this as for our community. So now it's in the City Council, and this past Monday, a week ago today, the City Council heard the village's developers, because now it goes to the whole process over again for the City Council to decide what they want to do with this. They're going to have the final authority on it, so they could approve it. There's 5 council members; they could approve it.
What do you think they're going to do?
I don't know. I mean, they could approve it as is. They could reject it altogether, but then the developers will sue, likely, or threaten to sue and or actually sue. or they will make some kind of a deal, negotiate some more housing, affordable housing units that they're offering. The developers are offering to put in 84 out of 839. So that's the 10%.
Come on, like can't.
84.
Oh
And
my! I mean, it's like
when I say affordable housing, I'm not referring to actual something that people can't afford. What there's affordable housing, moderate, high, and low income. So they're going with the moderate, which is a average salary range of like $64,000. You have to make $64,000 a year, and then you qualify to live in one of those.
That is so freaking mind-numbing. That is just like, oh, really? Like, you guys couldn't, like, if you get anything out of this, you're gonna make a ton of cash, and you're still gonna screw the community over. You couldn't just give half of it to affordable housing. Like you just have to be.
No.
Like what? It's because you're villain industry, or whatever the hell they're called.
And the property will bring in, according to the documents, 7,000 between 6,600 cars to 7,700 vehicles in and out of that property every day, added to the streets that are already full of cars, right? It's just bad all around. So I don't know what our city council is going to do per se. Oh, and then there's a conflict of interest situation with one of the city council members, a real estate agent in the area. So obviously, if this goes through, he's going to be able to make some profit or some commissions if he gets involved in it. So we want him to recuse himself from the vote, or maybe he has to sign something that says he will never. It's just easier for him to recuse himself. His name is Ross.
I would love to see that, but I'll tell you what, the sad state of the world we live in, if every real estate developer and local politics recused themselves, they would have to just give up their position, because that's which is wrong. I mean, I think it shouldn't happen. Like it should, because it is a conflict of interest, but that goes to show you, and I know that I'm really preaching to the choir here because you are a local activist, but it's one of the missions of this show. So I keep saying it. This goes to show you the power of getting involved locally and how this stuff really does matter. That's why in local politics, it's real estate developers who get involved because they know the power they can wield if they get involved. If we had a city council of Melissa Michelsons, of people who actually cared about a community, stuff like this wouldn't happen. You'd be able to send these developers packing. It can be done. Gail McLaughlin did it in Richmond to Chevron. You can do it, but it takes really getting on the ground and getting your hands dirty in your community, which isn't as sexy on the like on the surface level. But when you really break it down, that's where you can really make a difference.
Now, Ron, can I tell you how recently Alhambra is taking a turn, and we have been able to get grassroots candidates, grassroots people into city council. So we at this point have 3 that out of 5. So there's 2 that are kind of questionable. One of them being the Ross Mazza real estate agent. The other one, Jeff Maloney, the one who allowed the developers to chop down all the 200 plus trees 3 years ago somewhere else. So there's 3 city council people, and they all happen to be women that are grassroots. They come from more grassroots. And so it takes average people that may not know all the ins and outs of governance and whatnot, but running a campaign, which can be very, very expensive. But we've recently changed that here in Alhambra on the grassroots level with the charter initiative, which would limit campaign donations to $250. So we basically took money out of politics. Alhambra is a conservative kind of historically conservative town in terms of the governance, but the people are really not. And
now, in Alhambra, I didn't mean to interject here, but I think this is something that I failed to cover with you that I should have. Alhambra is its own city.
Yeah, it borders Los Angeles, but it's its own city. And we've recently been able to put in a campaign finance reform bill. Just this past November, it passed. I've been working on that for 2 years plus. We collected signatures to get it on the ballot because we knew the city council at the time would never just do it. The city council could just decide to do it and put it on the ballot, end of story. People can vote on it, like it or not, and then there would be a limit to donations that people would give to city council people when they're running, which would even the playing field. The real estate developers wouldn't be able to give their $5,000 plus to candidates.
Right.
So we did that for the past couple of years, and we got it on the ballot successfully. And so, and Alhambra voted for it 73%. Yes, they want it. So starting immediately, basically now, as of now, any new city council people that are going to try to run for office can only take up to $250 per person forever, and no developers.
And you're seeing the results of this as you have 3 grassroots people in office.
Yeah, I mean, they ran around on the same time of, no, 2 of them ran before, but one of them, you just kind of go, you got to go with the momentum of what's going on. And so we're changing things around, and now there's 2 more spots coming up in 2 years. And from now on, they're only going to have to be supported by the grassroots, which means those candidates are going to have to go door to door, really, and get the word out in their community where they're living and get support that way by making campaign promises and, like really listening to what the community wants and needs. No more big money from developers anymore to our city council people. So I'm really excited about that. But it takes a long time. It takes people to do this, and it's possible. Represent Us is the group. It's a nationwide group that helped us do this campaign finance reform. And I just want to encourage people, even if you've never done this before, just start going to city council meetings, listen, watch on Zoom. Now we're all on Zoom, unfortunately, but, and write in letters and make sure they hear you, and get a couple other people to do the same. And I don't know, but you're right. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And this is small change, but big change for us.
But if it happens, and I know what you're saying, but and you know this, and I know this, if it happened in every community and city in the country, that's big. We would
big. Get all these people in here. I mean, I think given the movement that's been going on in Alhambra, I've been here for 15 years or so. And when I got to Alhambra, it was abysmal, and the whole city council was bought off by realtors, by real estate agents, not real estate agents, the developers. And now I'm seeing 3 bought and sold kind of candidates, and then I guess I'm not supposed to say bought off candidates, and 2 they're on their last leg. And now we've changed the makeup of how we're going to be electing our people. And
that's really encouraging.
The Planning Commission, I was shocked that the Planning Commission wrote a resolution rejecting it. 7 people voted against the project. 3 people voted for the project. 1 of them also being a real estate agent. So, I mean, things are happening, and it takes time, and it takes a lot of pushback, and we've got that going.
Well, thank you for doing all you do. I mean, that's very encouraging, and hopefully y'all continue to win this thing. It looks like you're winning so far, and hopefully that continues. And thank you so much for sharing all that with us today. Where can people go to learn more? I mean, I know you're kind of just on the ground activist. So where do you want to direct people? Plug whatever you want to plug.
Yeah, sure. I would say Emery Park Community Group website has all the information about the villages and why it's preposterous. There's a petition there that people can sign. Over 550 people have signed it so far, and for a small city, that's pretty good. We don't even have a media. We don't even have a press. We don't have a newspaper in Alhambra, honestly. So that's a good place for people to go to learn about it. And then the 27th. So next week, Wednesday, is when the City Council of Alhambra is going to be speaking or listening again, this time to the public. Last Monday, they listened to the developers do their fancy presentation. And this time it's going to be the public, and then they're going to deliberate and possibly vote. So if people can write in, even if you don't even live in Alhambra, if you drive down Fremont, whatever, just kind of get informed, send a quick email in, and that really helps. That really helps. So Emery Park Community Group would be a good place for people to go. Emery
Park Community Group, and we'll make sure that later in the clips and the videos we have links to that and everything pertaining to this. Melissa, thank you so much. I'm glad you're home safe, and yes. It was really cool to catch up with you and talk about this and all the continued success with this project, and it's awesome to see what you're doing in Alhambra. So folks, check it out. Check it out here. I want to make sure I point the right. You have to do the opposite to actually be pointing at the person, the opposite of how it would feel. You know what I mean? So I go this now. We're pointing at each other now. This is what an organizer looks like, folks. Melissa. And she's pointing to me. This is what an asshole looks like. She's this is what an organizer looks like. This is what an asshole looks like.
Thank you for having me on, Ron. I think
anytime. It was great to have you. Great to see you again. And folks, a couple announcements before we go. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to have Chase Roper. Now, that is a gentleman who up until recently worked for Comcast, but he blew the whistle on Comcast because Comcast's Internet Essentials program is not so great, and they're imposing data caps on people during a freaking pandemic. So he blew the whistle and started tweeting about this. The tweet went viral, and he's been in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal in the past week because of his viral tweet and because of his departure from Comcast. And he also happens to be a comedian based in the Northwest, and him and I have some mutual friends. So I was able to get in touch with him, and he's going to be on the show tomorrow. And obviously with the municipal broadband net neutrality bent on this show, I am really looking forward to talking to him. So he's the guest tomorrow. Everyone check it out, Emery Park Community Group. We'll make sure all those links are in the clips later. Melissa, thank you so much for your work. Another couple quick announcements before we go. The show is demonetized right now on YouTube. I know some of you have been emailing me about that. We're going through some transitions. We've reapplied. Hopefully that will all be sorted out soon. But in the meantime, this is a completely demonetized show. I cannot accept super chats. A way to support this show financially, if you are interested in doing so and you are able to do so, the best way, patreon.com/Ron Placone. That's the best way. Become a patron. It's a give what you can level. You get all kinds of perks. I'll even make you a theme song, and that's all for a give what you can level. There's a patron Zoom show every week. There's a patron stream every week, and there's no tiers. It's just whatever you're comfortable giving, whatever you're able to give. So that's a good way. Rockfin, a YouTube alternative. Rockfin is a good way. Go to rockfin.com, sign up. You get a bunch of content creators. You can endorse my channel, but you can get Richard Medhurst there, the Combo Couch, Graham Elwood, Jimmy Dore, Dave Anthony of the Dollop. Lots of cool stuff on the Rockfin. So that's another way. And I also included my Venmo. My Venmo is just Ron-Placone. Again, if you are on stable ground and able. Guys, thank you so much. Check out Melissa's stuff. I fucked it up. That's what an organizer looks like. Ah! Thanks, Melissa. And everyone out there, you know the drill. In the meantime, Lucy says meow. I say peace.